Afternoon one and all. So I'm back at Alton. I've gone back to Birchwood on the left hand side, and there's a reason for this. A couple of reasons actually. The last 3 days we've had a strong easterly wind, which basically is blowing from the head of the bay in Birchwood across the reservoir towards where I was last week, Tatting. So an easterly wind is chilly. It's not cold, it's 17 degrees, but a couple of weeks ago it was 25, and that wind is what's cooling the air temperature down, as we all know. And as Isaac Walton used to say, when the wind's in the east, the fish feed the least. Going by what I know, watercraft and such like, the wind's going to have less of an impact. As you can see, it's relatively calm here, and the further you go across the reservoir, the more the easterly wind's picking up, and it's going to push that cooler air and that cooler water where it cools it on the surface over towards Tatting Stone and that side of the reservoir. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here. And the other reason is, although I had a good session last week at Tatting Stone, and I had some decent fish, but the fish that I had here, if you've seen the video 3 weeks ago, were much bigger. And I think if I've got a chance of catching a 15-pound bream out of here, which has been my target for about 5 years now at least, I think it's going to be out of this swim. The fish may feed a little bit less. I'm still going to go with the same amount of ground bait. I've had a slight variation in what I put in the ground bait, as you'll see in a minute. I'm still putting 26 balls out. I've got a variation in hook bait as well. I'm still going to have one on a krill boilie, one on a krill pellet, but I've got an alternative, a dumbbell, chocolate fish meal flavoured dumbbell, really nice and soft. I'm going to have a go with those, see if I can cherry pick a couple of bigger fish. Time will tell. I should be here at least until late tomorrow afternoon, and possibly until Saturday morning. We'll see how it goes. Quick update on my cancer. I had my pre-op assessment this morning. Yeah, and I'm fishing now. It's plasters. They struggle to find anywhere that I'd give up any blood. But I had all my tests. I'm good to go for the operation, which I'm hoping will be in a week or two. So I need to get some fishing in, because that will sideline me at least for a couple of weeks. But you know what I'm like. Last year when I had my kidney operation, I come out of theatre at 6:30 after 6.5 hours under the surgeon's knife. 9:30 in the morning. I'm walking down to the Costas to get a cup of coffee and go and have a sneaky cigarette. I have to say, it was the furthest point away from the ward I was in, and when I got out there I nearly passed out. But that's me, that's how I deal with things, and I'm trying to deal with it once again with a smile on my face. I keep saying it, if you're in any doubt, got any little niggles, anything that's not right, get yourself checked. You're not wasting the doctor's time, you're wasting your own time. And more importantly, if you don't do it for yourself, do it for your family and your friends, because they're the ones who have to pick the pieces up if you don't deal with it. You get it early, it's no longer a death sentence. You can get it cured, you can get it treated, as I'm being. Yeah, I've had it 3 times. 2 of those were as a result of the kidney operation, cells breaking away. They're only going to end up in one place, and that's in your bladder. So yeah, I'm staying as positive as I can, and I'm going to catch some fish. And you know what? Maybe this is the session when I get that 15. We'll see. Not that I'll put a weight on it, because I'll just bring the drums out, but you'll be able to see. As you saw a couple of sessions ago, I had some proper big fish out of this swim. So let's see how we go. Cheers guys, thanks for watching as always. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, ask any questions. Someone said this might be a silly question a couple of weeks ago. There's no such thing as a silly question. He said you need to ask questions because I haven't explained it properly. And if I haven't, I apologise for that, but please do ask me, I will clarify anything. Cheers guys. Afternoon one and all. So I'm back at Alton again. I've gone for Birchwood left hand side, deeper water here, and as a result of it I'm going to mix my ground bait slightly differently. I've fished this swim before, but yeah, I'm going to try and make the balls more dense. So I've got 23.5 foot of water, as I said just now. I want to make the balls quite dense. I'm fishing at 14.5 rod lengths, where the shelf drops from 21.5 down to 23.5 foot. And I want to make sure my ground bait goes down, but I'm going to mix it in a way that as it hits the bottom, it pretty much starts to break up straight away. There isn't any slope out there, but sometimes when you're fishing on a slope, you've got to watch you don't drop your ground bait on a slope like this and it starts rolling away. So that's something to be mindful of. Anyway, so my mix is slightly different. I'm crushing my krill sticky bait, krill boilies again, and I say crushing them, more broken than crushed. They give the fish something to munch on. I've put 3 of these in my mix, and this is all going to go out at the start. I'm going to try a slightly different hook bait this week. I got from Dean's, and I've got some chocolate malt dumbbells. Nice little dumbbells they are, nice and soft, and there's a hint of fish meal in the background, but primarily they're a chocolate malt, and they're quite sweet. They're quite sweet to taste, and believe me, I've tried them. I've crushed up 3 lots of those to go in as well. And the reason I'm going to try something different is because now we're heading into cooler temperatures. The bream definitely switched from the krill boilies over to a more sweeter boilie, and cells worked previously. But on other venues I've fished of a similar nature to this, I found a chocolate malt or a chocolate type of boilie can work quite well in the winter months. Ardley in particular used to fish a dynamite white chocolate. I don't think they make them anymore. And back in the day when I used to fish Nazian and Hatfield Forest and Hemmingford, the slightly sweeter flavoured boilies, they're not sweet as in like a tutti frutti or something like that, just got a sweet edge to them. Anyway, so my mix is different. Still got some krill ground bait. I managed to get my hands on some of this Sonu bait stuff, and I'm going to put in a decent amount of that, and that's going to go in. I'm going to I've got some Vitamin or Vitacarb, whatever you want to call it. This has done 4 sessions now, and I've still got a lot of that left. I'm going to put about half of that in. It's a good, as I've said previously, it's a good sight attraction on the bottom without the bottom being too pale or such like. And I've gone with a fish meal ground bait, black ground bait, Special G dark ground bait, and it's like the old trout. Smells like the old trout pellets. This used to work years ago, in particular for tench, but it's also worked for bream. So I'm going to put a good amount of that in, because the bottom here, I don't know if you can see, is really quite dark, and out in the water it's quite dark as well. And then got some, from all this stuff from Dean's Tackle, got some fish meal. This is what's now called Grimsby 66, and it's actually what we used to call Pravimi 66. It's 66% protein, and this is good. The fish are looking for protein this time of the year. The insects have started to die away. I mean, last week I had barely any trouble with mosquitoes, and that's a sign that the weed's dying away, which it is. There's less hatches, bloodworm hatches, any insects, larvae, whatever. So there's less food. So the fish are looking to pack protein on, as I said, because they've got to get through 4 or 5 months of winter cold weather when there's next to no natural food. So I'm going to put a good amount of that in, and I'm hoping it's going to attract them. And lastly, I'm going to put some sweet corn in, whole tin of that, because I won't be using that on a hook. It's purely, again, as a sight and flavour attraction, and again gives it a slightly sweet edge. And to help bind my ground bait a bit harder, I've got some sweet banoffee from Dynamite. This helps. It kind of works like molasses a little bit, but it's a slightly different flavour to molasses. Molasses is very sweet, and I'll use molasses when we start going in towards November, December and January. But this time of the year, this I find works, and this will pair up quite nicely with the dumbbell boilies that I've got. Yeah, so I'm going to mix that lot up, and I'm going to put again 26 balls out, 14.5 rod lengths, as I said. Get me rods out, get the kettle on, and I'll get back to you as and when I catch something. Right, so I've mixed my ground bait up. As I said just now, I'm fishing at 14.5 rod lengths. I'm not sure if you can see my marker float out there. You've got to mix your ground bait. I use the old Drennan Whopper dropper catapults. I've had these, I've got 3 of them in 20 years. This size of ground bait, and I've got 26 of them, and they're all a similar size, as you can see. The idea is that when they're a consistent size, they travel a consistent distance. But the most important thing, for those of you who haven't seen this before, is you've got to warm your elastic up. And I do this for probably about 30 seconds. And firstly, the catapult works a whole lot better when the elastic's warmed up, rather than it's been sitting in your car or in your shed for a week, and it starts to go tight, elastic. And I think this is the reason, with the same elastic, I mean, you can see the colour of it, 25, the reason it's lasted, I've had the odd breakage, but it's because I do warm it up every time, and it just seems to help enormously. And the most important thing about warming it up is once it's warm, it stays that temperature while you're firing the ground bait out, and it goes a consistent distance. If you start off using the elastic, firstly it damages it without, you know, firing the ground bait out without warming it up first, and secondly, as the elastic starts to warm up, the ground bait goes further and further. So the sort of distance, let's see if I can show you, because I'm not sure you can see my marker float, and that's right on the money. I'm not sure if you saw that. Fire another one out, stand slightly at one side, and that's right next to my marker float, so it's, well, in line with my marker float. What I want is, I want all my ground bait the same distance, but I spread it out in a line, because I'm going to start with 3 rods, and each of those rods are going to be about 6 foot apart, and then once I start catching, I'll reduce down to 2 rods, as I always do. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to get the rest of my ground bait out, get the rods out, and at some point I'm going to get the kettle on. Right, so these are the rigs I'm using, same as usual. 50-gram feeder, you can see that. What we used to call a cow lead in the old days. Got that 3 inches of free movement, buffer bead, and there's a quick change to change my hook links as I need to. 10-pound Gardner braid hook link, that's a size 8 Drennan barbel hook, and that's a krill active boilie with a bit of pink pop-up corn at the front of it. I know I've said this before, but for those of you watching for the first time, this stopper bead, once I pack the feeder with ground bait, I push the stopper bead inside the feeder, and then when I'm casting, basically it sits like that with the ground bait, and what that means is the rig can't go over the top of the feeder as I'm casting out, and in particular in the winter, last thing you want is your rig out there and it's wrapped around the feeder. That eliminates that free movement that I've got with the feeder, so it's like a semi-fixed bolt rig, if that makes sense. And the idea behind that is the fish can, particularly with a big bream, which I'm targeting today, they've got big bellies on them, they bend down to pick the bait up. If they feel any resistance straight away, where the feeder's fixed or the hook link is wrapped around the feeder and there's no free movement there, they'll spit the bait out straight away. And the idea with this free movement is they can bend down, pick the bait up, sit back up, still not feel anything, start to turn away, and as they turn away they feel the resistance, and that makes them go wallop, and they're hooked. The other rig, I've got 2 like that. The other rig's the same rig, same amount of movement, etc., except I've gone with a 8mm krill pellet, which I often use. And for those of you who've not seen it before, this time of the year, well, all year round, I shrink wrap the pellet. The idea is that behind that is that it gives you a bit of longevity out in the water. I don't completely cover it, I just put a sliver of that Calder shrink wrap around it. When I'm making a cup of coffee, I do half a dozen of them at a time. This gets a lot of bites, and more often than not it tends to be smaller fish. My idea is that I'll fish one rig like this, and I'll probably start to get indications on this before I will on the boilies as the fish start to turn up. As soon as I know the fish are in the area and I'm getting indications, or I've had a couple of small fish, I'll switch this to a boilie. Invariably, once the bream are there, I'll switch down to 2 rods, and in the past I've often fished with just 1 rod when the bream are there, especially here where the shoals are relatively small. As I said earlier, they're between 4 and 8 fish. You might get a shoal with maybe 10 or 12, and over a 48-hour period I'll catch a couple of fish out of one shoal, and maybe 4 or 5 fish if I'm lucky, and they'll possibly move on, and then another shoal. There's lots of small shoals. When I say lots, there's probably 10 or 12 small shoals of bream here, but you haven't got the massive shoals of small fish. And when I say small fish, I'm talking 6, 7, 8 pound fish. They can be in 200-300 fish in a shoal, and if you drop on those, that's all you're going to catch. And as I've said before, I'd rather have one 10-pound bream than 20 8-pound bream. And don't get me wrong, you know, I never turn my nose up at an 8-pound bream, and in particular in the winter if I'm over here, a bite's a bite, a fish is a fish. Yeah, we're heading in that direction now. So anyway, I'm going to get my rods out, and I'll get back to you as and when. Cheers guys. So one thing I wanted to talk about is on a venue like this, it doesn't matter where it is, it's about depth. And when the water's as clear as it is, and believe me, you can see how clear that is. It's absolutely like tap water. Well, it makes tap water look dirty. Well, it is tap water. It's a reservoir. It's what we come through our tap. Anyway, last week I was fishing in 19.5 foot water, and I had a couple of fish during the day, but most of my fish were at night. And I've said this before, if you want to catch during the day, you want to find more than 20 foot of water. Previously, when I was fishing here a couple of 3 weeks ago, I had the majority of my fish during the day. I think I only had a couple during the night. I had that mad session first thing in the morning when I had 9 in a couple of hours, 3 hours or whatever, but I was catching in the middle of the day. Although I had 2 fish in the daylight last week, 19.5 foot, if I'd gone down to say Grassy Bank or Lemons where you've got 14, 15 foot of water, it's probably about 12, 13 at the moment. Grassy Bank might be maybe 15 foot at the moment, normally 17, so water level's quite low. Here I've got 23.5 foot, and that's a significant difference. And anywhere you're going, any venue, anywhere in the country, if you can find that deeper water, those fish will feed during the day. I remember years ago going to Ireland when they first got the zebra mussels over there, and places I was going fishing 12 foot of water, well, previously catching loads and loads of bream and tench and such like on the Earn system during the day. All of a sudden, when the zebra mussels went in and knocked the colour out of the water completely, the fish became nocturnal. And I learned from that, and then I've put that into practice here. And believe me, I've tried a lot of venues around the country, and I've tried a lot of areas on Alton, and I've found if I can find more than 20 foot of water, I'll catch, and I'll catch well during daylight hours. I've had my rods out probably an hour or so, and I'm getting indications already. Last week I literally had a couple of indications in daylight and two bites, 2 fish, whereas previously, as I said, I was catching even in the middle of the afternoon with bright sunshine. I was catching. So that's another reason why I've come back to here, not just because of the easterly wind and what I talked about earlier, but also because of the depth, and that's a key factor. I hope that makes sense. Cheers, guys. It's all about what it gives me, and it's difficult to explain it, but I often refer to it as my solace. But you heard that indication. It cuts out all the background noise when I'm here, and with what I'm going through, it's not noise from, you know, you need your family and friends around you to help support you. But I was watching a film the other day called Mending the Line, and it's about post-Afghan soldiers in America and Iraq, and with post-traumatic stress and taking them fishing. And he said, one of the guys in the film said, for the first time when he was fishing, and he'd never been before, all of a sudden all that noise in the back of his head stopped. And this helps me focus being here, helps me deal with what I'm going through. It keeps a smile on my face, and it's really difficult to explain. And if you've never tried it, try it. Even if you just come and sit here and you're not fishing, just look at it. That's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely amazing colours. That is an absolutely vast shoal of 2-3 inch roach. Must be 50 yards long. The perch keep chasing them. They're making a comeback. So many of them. Some of them are a little bit bigger than 3 inches, but they drop down on my ground bait, they'll go through that. Brilliant. Oddly quiet. I've seen 2 fish, 2 bream roll, both about 50 yards past where I'm fishing, about 3/4 of the way across. They're in the area, but I would have expected to have seen a few more fish this time in the evening. Clearly that easterly wind's got them off a little bit. I'm still optimistic though, the fact that I've seen 2 roll. Yeah, I'm sure they'll find my bait at some stage. I'm guessing it might be into darkness, but that'll be coincidental. It'll be when they find my grub. They're obviously not over my bait at the moment. I've had a couple of single beeps, but that could have been anything. There was a lot of tow when the wind was blowing hard. Kept moving the indicators up a little bit. Switched the sensitivity down, but yeah. But I'm the eternal optimist, and at some point I will catch. Yeah, definitely got my sweatshirt on. Yeah, his temperature's definitely changed in the last few weeks, last couple of weeks. Even from last week, I never put the sweatshirt on all night. But, you know, it's coming up to October soon, so yeah, I'll catch at some stage. I was rather hoping to see a few more fish. But, 2's better than nothing, put it that way. And it wasn't like they were 500 yards away. They were a distance away that if they move, they could quite easily find my bait. So my next report will be when I catch a fish. He says, the eternal optimist, but you know, They don't catch themselves, so I've got to catch them.
First fish of the session. Nice fish. Not massive. Looked bigger as it was coming in. Still decent fish though. There we go. Classic Autunm Bream. Nice and thick and solid. Let's get it back. See if I can get another one. Now they're here, I undoubtedly will. This beauty come to the net. Proper Autunm Bream. There you go. Lovely quality fish. You see that? Absolutely beautiful. Mint condition as well. Not quite a double. Getting close though. Bigger than the last one. Happy with that. Don't think I'm going to be getting much sleep. They're here now. Full fish. Absolute beauty of a fish. I'll get her out of the net. There we go. That's a proper fish. That's quality fish. I'm going to weigh that. Lovely fish. Another very peaceful autumn morning. Interesting last night. I had first fish. Early into first darkness, and by midnight I'd had 5. Then didn't get another bite. Clearly that easterly wind is slowed fishing down, but it's quite interesting in this swim. They tend to feed more during the day than they do at night. I've seen a handful of fish topping, rolling this morning. A few roach as well, which is interesting. Because as we know, a lot of the roach have died away, and maybe just a handful of them are coming back. They were only small. I had a couple of really nice fish last night, as you'll see. Just 6 o'clock now, just waiting. It's fish number 6, but boy, I've had to wait for that. Last fish I had, number 5, was 9:30 midnight last night. It's now 9:30 on the second night. It was like a good fish though, might be worth the wait. To be fair, all 6 fish I've had have been decent. I've not had any in that 7 or 8 pound bracket. This is solid fish. On these rods they always feel decent coming in, but no, this is definitely pulling back. Oh blimey, yeah. And that is an indication on the other rod, because this one's nowhere near the line on that. That's a good fish. Laughing at noses. That's a good fish. That is a clonking fish. Right. Let's get that unhooked. Have a look at that. This is going on the scales, that's for sure. There we go. That is a solid fish. That is thick as well. Absolute beauty. Wow. Fish number 7. Another absolutely immaculate, proper Autunm Bream. Absolutely amazing. Right, get her back. Literally just made myself a cup of coffee after fish number 7. Now I've got fish number 8. Three fish in 45 minutes. And I've gone from past midnight last night till about 9:30 tonight. Unbelievable. There we go. There's another good fish again. I always say that, but they are in here. Oh, that is that's a big fish. Wow, you can see that. Oh, goodness me. Right. As I always say, get around hooked and have a look. Lovely Autunm Bream, not as big as the last couple. Got a bit of a mark on the side. Still lovely, solid fish. Again, beautiful. Well, they're there. Definitely putting this on the scales. This is a proper lump, that is. It's absolutely solid fish, beautiful. Let's put her on the scales, see what that weighs. That's easily the best fish. Enough fish number 14. Solid that fish is, absolutely. Gonna weigh that one as well. Number 18, another proper. There's a couple of smaller ones. But not getting a lot of sleep. There you go. Another lovely Autunm Bream. Get her back. That was a bit, went back a bit. What a night this has been. Fish number 22. Another clonking Autunm Bream. You can see that. A bit too close. There we go. Absolute beauty. Right, I might weigh that one.
Morning all. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night. What a night that was. 23 fish, bearing in mind I only had 5 the first night, and then up till midnight, and then nothing until 8:30 yesterday evening. And I've had 18 fish since yesterday evening, and some proper big fish amongst them as well. I only had a couple of small fish. Beautiful morning, as you can see. Just starting to pack up. I've had probably about 15 minutes sleep, but having 5-minute intervals. Hey ho, yeah, good for the spirit. Yeah, cancer can go and bury itself somewhere in the bushes, because I'm not doing it, I'm not buying it. I'm gonna get over this, that's for sure. Get yourself checked, guys. Thanks for watching as always, and please do ask any questions, subscribe, hit the like button. You know what to do. Yeah, speak to you soon. Not sure where I'm going to go next week, possibly for my operation, we'll see. I'll keep you posted.